So I'm really excited to have Matt Lafferty here. He is the CEO and co-founder at CURRi. CURRi is a last mile delivery service for construction and other delivery needs. And before we jump in here, Matt, you want to give like a little bit of a rundown on CURRi and what it is?
Yeah, we're essentially the way the world delivers construction and industrial supplies
Okay.
using independent contractors.
So the one thing I wanted to hit on, because as I did some research, I was curious about this. Um, it says last mile delivery, and I get that for a lot of things, but it also seemed like you do a lot of or have the ability to do long haul stuff like Uber Freight kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
so
Like,
yeah,
so,
no, we do. We have that ability. We have that capability. Um, I think a lot of it's just like what do most of them, which bucket do most of them fit into, and how can we like explain that succinctly on a website? But yeah, that's not outside of our capability to do some
right.
long
So
distance
it's
stuff.
so it's absolutely not last minute delivery. I mean, that's how you can do last mile delivery. I
Absolutely.
mean, but you can also do much bigger.
Yeah, exactly. Much larger deliveries and also scheduled as well. So, I mean, a lot of new customers come in the door actually through that. I need it now,
Hmm.
and then we start getting into more like scheduled deliveries and things of that nature. So, if we can handle your what we call like your oh shit deliveries for the construction industry when they need them back and forth,
Hmm.
we can tend to get the scheduled ones as well because they
So
like the service.
do you have truckers doing multi-state stuff?
So I think one thing that's good to can like uh, sort of decouple is that uh, we're mainly doing cars, pickup trucks,
Hmm.
box trucks,
Yep.
trailers, but like I think Uber Freight's mostly focused on like semi trucks and things like that, and
Yeah, yeah.
we're not delving into that really.
Oh, okay. I thought from the website, I thought maybe there was some semi work, but okay.
We have some like stake bed trucks, and we have some like heavy hauling like trailers and things of that nature that are pulling some pretty heavy construction materials and supplies.
Okay. And you guys launched when? How long have you been around?
January 2019, and so just over 2.5 years now.
So you
Bef-
you got a good 13 months in before the pandemic, right?
yeah,
I
well,
mean,
we were doing all right. When we launched in January 2019, we were just aiming towards for like who we were focused on was contractors.
hmm.
After like 3 or 4 months in, we started to realize there's huge opportunities with the construction wholesalers and distributors, suppliers, basically where all the contractors were purchasing supplies. So we
Hmm.
started approaching them, and they wanted the services more, and actually the contractors expected the delivery to be made by uh, where they're purchasing the supplies. So yeah, but yeah, we got some good mileage in there. I know like there's some sarcasm in there, like when we first got in right before the pandemic, but um, we grew all through COVID. We were growing before COVID.
That was my
Um,
next question is
yeah,
all these other companies, I mean, I know food delivery did good. Rideshare went in the toilet. I mean, all these other ones were doing so bad, as we know, most companies are doing bad, but it seems like you guys would have crushed it during the pandemic,
we,
or
we
at least
did.
like still had growth and really,
Yeah, I mean, transparently, like I think there was like like what I was calling like the great pause. Even so, all the construction wholesaler suppliers, they're trying to figure out, okay, what do we do? What does this mean? That was like a period of 3 to 4 weeks where they're just recalibrating. Like a very very old school legacy industry.
mm-hmm.
Trying to figure out like, okay, well, how do we sell supplies? Oh, construction is essential. Just it took a while to get the communication, the message of what they were allowed to do. Um, so yeah, but we continued to grow. I think there was like a slight plateau in April, and then May, June, July just kept going. It's been going ever since.
Right? Because I mean, as we all remember, all the stores were even empty. I mean, I know
Mhm.
that's not your thing, but that was proof that truckers and even long haul things weren't getting where they needed to go.
Yep.
Which
Yep.
probably made the short run stuff from like warehouses even more in need, because when the
Yeah.
things did show up, it's like we don't have any local people. Like,
Yeah. I
we
mean,
need them.
we're able to provide all of them basically an elastic fleet, right? So like
Right.
if their driver was out, we could provide a driver, truck, just and handle the deliveries, and they could continue selling, which is what they want to do. They want to sell more, so we allow them to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
That was one of the coolest. By the way, sorry to cut you off, but like
no, go ahead.
like that was such a good feeling, like such a cool feeling, like all those drivers who like Uber, Lyft, no one's riding,
Hmm.
and so there's much less work. Like we're still able to give people
Yeah,
a
and
lot of
this,
work,
yeah,
and yeah, so we got a lot of drivers from that time. We still are, and we'll still get drivers from those other platforms because
oh,
we pay better.
I actually just signed up. I was waiting for my with CURRi to do some
Mm,
drives so I can report back on it, but I was waiting for my background clearance, and then I talked to Alice real quick, and she said you're good, you can drive now. I said, oh,
oh,
okay.
good.
So now I'm ready, and I'm got my app ready. I'm kind of
Do you have a truck? What do you got?
I don't have, I got an SUV.
Okay, all right.
And that's kind of leading into my next question is like, I saw, I'm guessing a lot of stuff is truck
Yes.
or van or whatever, I don't know what percentage that makes up. Um, and I'm sure
I
it
can break it
varies.
down for you.
Okay. But I'm sure it varies a little bit market to market too, or maybe not.
Yeah, it actually does, and even geography, and where we have like, depending on where we have like customer penetration and what type of wholesaler suppliers are using us in each of those geographies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like as a whole, I would say about a third are in sedan, a third are in pickup truck or box truck, or SUV, pickup truck,
Mm-hmm.
that category, and then the other third are like in box trucks and stake beds and trailers,
So
roughly.
people with cars,
Yeah.
is it still worth it for them to sign up? It
Yeah.
is, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And they will get paid more than they would with
That's what I was
DoorDash.
thinking. You might, what I was actually talking with a couple of veteran gig workers about this, and they were saying, well, how am I going to make enough doing that? I'm like, well, you might not. That's the cool thing about the gig economy. You might be able to start your day with a couple CURRi runs
Mhm.
and pocket $70 right out of the bat, or $80,
Yep.
because I've seen a couple of the rates that come through.
Mhm.
I'm like, you might be able to do that, then move on to your other gig, because one of the greatest things about CURRi that I think is that I can turn on Rideshare in the mornings, and I'm gonna be busy for a couple hours. I'm in Denver, pretty big city. Not
Yep.
a lot of people don't have cars out here. A lot of people really do just rely on Ubers and public transportation and whatnot. Young
Mhm.
demographic. But I can turn on Uber, make a little bit. You can't turn on food delivery in the day and make anything, even though food delivery has been popping. Really, all of the gig work, most of it that we talk about, starts around 4 or 5 p.m. And
Yep.
you're actually the opposite. And I was telling people this is great because this is a day gig. We don't see day gigs come up. That's very rare.
Yeah. So early morning, uh, lunch, and then there's like a major surge, like around like, depending on what time zone you're in, right? Like around 3 or 4. So things start to pop. Like we have like,
Is that like people last minute, like realizing we don't have this and we can't leave today till this is done, so you need to come
yeah.
bring it to us?
Right. So that is that, seriously. So like morning ones, they're either scheduled the day before. I want all these things there before the cruise there, and like they have their list. The wholesaler supplier knows that. So like
Mm-hmm.
we got to get those supplies at 6 a.m. So we have a bunch in the queue ready to go. A lot of them come in like on demand, which is fine. But a lot of those are scheduled because they're planners and they have their things going on. And then like sometimes like towards the end, like I'll go to the end of the day. It's just like they're finishing out. They realize they need something for the next day. They're
Oh,
calling
okay.
in their orders to the supply stores, and the supplier wholesalers are the ones booking the deliveries primarily. And so they start to make all those orders, and then drivers get queued up. So
But when somebody does say it, like let's say you're in California, right?
yes, I am.
Okay, so let's say like 3 o'clock, 3:30 in California, some like a crew is noticing, oh my gosh, we're just missing these few things. And a car could pick it up. It's not much, let's say.
Yeah.
They don't
Yep.
want to send a worker because they don't want to waste that kind of money and his time and taking him off the site.
Exactly.
They put in the order through CURRi. Is it, or do you find that those orders are picked up really quick?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very, very quick SLAs, especially. So the sort of reminds me of like the founding story of this when we had a contractor at my co-founder's house, and he
Mm-hmm.
was doing a long-term plumbing project, and his name's Mike Buck. He was going back and forth like, once a day, like an hour and a half, just getting supplies. And I mean, just doing the math on that, they're losing like a month. Like if you extrapolate that over the course of a year, they're losing like a work month. It's absolutely crazy. Well, not crazy. It's just what they've had to do. And now they have options, right? So they don't need to do that. They know that a supplier wholesaler can deliver those things now, especially with CURRi, like, hey, they don't have to wait for their truck to be back from a route or something like that. They can just CURRi it.
And out here in Denver, there's always construction. I mean, I live pretty close to downtown, and there's always so much stuff going on. I can only imagine how many things are forgotten, like or lost, or we can't find these, or where'd this go,
or it breaks, or it's the slightly wrong part. It's just like, and they need to send it back, and they need a new one. Yeah, stuff like that happens all the time. Like, they sort of refer to them as like the unexpected things, but those unexpected things happen every day.
That's what I was just gonna say. I was gonna say, you can call it unexpected, but it kind of seems expected.
It is. You expect to have the unexpecteds every single day. So we do need a new term for that, like the known unknowns, whatever you want to call it. But I could talk to. That's one of my favorite parts of what I was starting this kind of was speaking with contractors. I would drive to sites and just chat, trying to learn, their like workflow. It was fun, man. Just bringing coffees and donuts and hanging out. Where are you guys going? Like, oh, we're going to the supply store. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I would even offer to go get it for him. Like, hey, I'll just put an order for you right now. And then like in the background, my co-founder probably would just like drive his Sprinter van to go get it, or, bootstrapping, getting things started. But we had to, like, that's the thing. Like I drove in the beginning, and my co-founder, Brian Gonzalez, he drove in the beginning.
Yeah.
We wanted to understand both sides.
You have to
extremely well. Yeah.
You have to.
Let's understand it. Let's really get it, and not just be some, I don't know. I think it's very important. Like I still call customers to understand what's going on. I think that's super important, is to understand all sides.
I mean, I think part of what you were going at was like, you take a company like Uber or something, and now they're so established that when they bring in a new CEO, like they did years ago with Dara, it's like Dara never drove. There's some articles out there that he did, but he didn't. He's got too much security and too many people hate him. He didn't drive anywhere, maybe like his friends as like some kind of prop or so. I don't know, but like he's a pretty not liked man. So I don't know that they'd just put him out in an Uber car. But I would like to hear about the stats about the vehicles. Like how many are using cars, how many are using we were kind of heading that way.
So I mean, it generally changes as far as numbers and geographies, because we're delivering nationwide, right? So we have,
and you're still growing. So I know that things this could absolutely change in a month even. I don't, and especially in the different markets, but
and it also changes, which is super interesting. It changes seasonally, right? Depending on which vertical is going on. Like HVAC goes really big in the summer and fall, late summer, fall, and then
like right now.
And then like HVAC will drop down a bit,
then you come out of the frost and people need their sprinklers worked on, and
then it's
construction starts back up.
Plumbing, HVAC. And it also makes sense just because there's longer hours in the day, right? So longer hours in the day, they're gonna be able to work more and get more done. Fewer holidays. I know, not the UK holidays you and I were chatting about earlier, but no, but it is about a third. Like about a third of our deliveries are in like a sedan sized car, and then
so like me in an SUV.
Yep.
But what about the person in the Toyota Corolla?
That works for a large portion of deliveries. Like you wouldn't believe how, like, a box of nails, just something they got to
I'm guessing those people really are the 3:30, 4 p.m. people that you're talking about. No, maybe I'm wrong. I'm just guessing that like the amount of something that somebody might need might be only a car worth. later in the day, as opposed to a full order that's placed the night before.
Well, now you make me want to like chat with our data guys and find out about that, because that honestly, that actually sounds like quite could be quite truthful, actually.
Yeah, I
'Cause
mean, you might
typically
still
they
have the
go
same
through PERK.
truck guys who like using CURRi grabbing
Mhm.
those orders, but I'm
Yep.
saying there might be a lot more luck for a driver midday
Yeah.
when those
Yep.
sites are like, hey, we're missing this, that, the other.
Man, I wish you'd sent me that question before the podcast. I would have gotten you exact numbers, but now I'm really
Well,
intrigued.
I'm
So
guessing that I'm guessing you're still at a stage where it's so market to market. I mean, I'm sure that some markets aren't really taken off yet, and I'm sure some are booming. I mean, I don't know. I've worked with some other companies who, when they start up, they don't instantly pop up in every market as
mhm.
popular as they are in some.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about what we're doing versus what, you know, like the playbook for like Lyft or Uber or DoorDash to launch, um, because they had like pretty much a B2C model where um, you don't know where someone's going to be picked up from, and you also don't know where someone's going to be going or how far.
Or if it's even them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. So there's all kinds of variables and factors there under that model. And also when you launch a new geography under that, like you need much more of a critical mass and more widespread. But with us, that's sort of like part of the way we've been able to expand so fast is all these geographies, man. They have the suppliers, wholesalers, or construction supplies, industrial supplies. They're typically aggregated into specific areas with each of like the NFL. We call them NFL cities,
Mm-hmm.
and even suburbs and like outside those areas. They're typically aggregated. I mean, you'll find one plumbing HVAC store right next door to another plumbing HVAC store. They're so competitive. They're also very
Mm-hmm.
like heavy acquisition based, and they do that on purpose. Like they just like, hey neighbor, you know, and they're selling the same things. Um, you know, sometimes, you know, different prices, things like that. And the contractors are fairly loyal to each branch.
That's what I was
So
just
if,
going to say. Do you ever kind of step in there at all and say, "Hey, we've been working with this one that"? No, that's
no,
not you at all.
we're
Yeah, you.
agnostic. Like they do the selling. Like
Yeah.
keep doing. That's why they trust us. Like you do what you're doing. We want you to make more sales. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we allow you to make more sales because you no longer have to tell someone calling in like, hey, I need this copper fitting right now. Um, and they don't have to say, sorry, I can't get you that till tomorrow. I can't get you that to the day after tomorrow because our truck's already out and we've got to transfer from another branch. They can just say yes. Because they know the very next call is next door or nearby. And
Mm-hmm.
if they have it, they'll deliver it. Now, both of those, whatever store has the relationship with CURRi, they can both say yes, and then they can just compete, not on delivery. They don't need to compete on delivery because they have us. They can just say, okay, these are our margins, these are your margins, this is what we can do, this is how fast we can get it. You know, it's just very uh it's another tool in their tool belt, a
Sure.
little ace up their sleeve.
Yeah. So, um, yeah. So you were saying B2C. You guys are B2B,
Yeah,
pretty much
yeah, through and
almost.
through.
I don't want to say exclusively. Is it exclusively? It is.
Yeah.
Or do you do a
90.
couple customers? Do you do some just?
So the only reason I waiver is because sometimes I consider like some of the contractors like, yeah, it's strictly B2B. Like, cause like there even a contractor, they own their own business, right? So
So
um
even if you're dropping off at their house, it's still a contractor.
yeah, because it's still
Right. Yeah.
we're picking up from it's doing the same thing, going from a supply store that has the construction supply to
Mm-hmm.
the drop off location. Really, like doesn't matter where it's being picked up or going from, it's who's ordering it, who's booking it. Um, but 98% of what's being booked is from wholesalers, distributors, suppliers. The other 2% is from like contractors, just
But
because like they expect the
does it
delivery.
have to be though?
No, it doesn't have to be.
Like me, if I wanted to do a bunch of work in my house,
Oh yeah, you could do it.
I can still just as a person use
Yeah.
Curry, right? Okay.
Yep. You could.
I
Yep.
mean, like if I knew everything I wanted and I just didn't want to go spend the time at Home Depot looking for it.
Well, you'd have to order it online with Home Depot, and then you'd have to attach that order number when you order. We're not like an Instacart where we
Right,
shop
right,
for
right,
you.
right, right, right. But I mean, like you still could go through their app or whatever, pick out
Yeah.
everything you needed, have it ready, somehow
Yep.
assign it to you. I don't know. But that leads
Well,
me to the fact of one thing I find really interesting, because I've had everybody ask me this, is I said, I did an ad on the podcast a couple of weeks ago where I said, you don't have to it's hands free at drop off and pickup. And I had a lot of gig workers say, wait a minute, I understand at the construction sites because they would be under their insurance. They're not even going to let you out of the car. I said, they were like, but you don't have to touch a thing loading it. And I said, I don't think so. As far as I've been told, you don't,
yeah,
you're getting,
like on the trucks, like the supply store wholesaler will put that into your vehicle.
or like even me with my SUV.
Well, it depends. If it's something small, I'm pretty sure they're
Yeah.
gonna trust
Yeah.
like box of nails or like a gallon of paint. Like
Right.
I'm sure they're gonna trust.
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't even
You know what
let
I'm
them.
saying? I'm just saying, like no, you put that box of nails right there, and like I don't know. That sounds confrontational, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
within reason. Like
Right.
small,
Obviously
like
the big lift stuff they're going to take out for you.
yeah,
A couple
and
things. If you've just got like a cart worth, you can do that.
yeah, and then they load it up for you.
Yeah. But and then at the construction site, I'm guessing because of insurance too, that they just don't even want you
Yeah, they
touching
unload it.
anything. Yeah.
They've got a crew. They get it, and then you get your proof of delivery. That's the thing. The driver's proof of delivery photo at the beginning, proof of delivery photo at the end.
Okay. Yeah, and I
That's
saw your
always.
live GPS tracking, and
Yeah,
so I was wondering if that's why you had to always keep the app on.
yeah, live
You
tracking.
know, yeah, because I was wondering, because when I signed up, it said, and I was wondering if it was just for the banners or if it still worked. Now I'll find out, because, well, I could just ask you, I guess. Do you have to leave it always on? Like when you're not driving and you're not going to be driving for a day, and then you want to come back in a day and check?
Like if you want to see if there's like notifications and things like that for possible
Like,
work. Is that what you mean?
right, yeah, but if you don't need the notifications coming down, can you just set the location to while using the app?
Yes, but I don't know if you'll get I'd have to check, but I don't think you'll get the notifications for delivery.
No, you wouldn't, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I was just asking because it burns the battery so bad to have those running in the background,
Yeah.
the location services. So
Yeah, I don't think so. I keep mine rolling just because I like to I like to know how
right,
the system is working and all
right.
that. But
Like
yeah,
it for me, I would wake up and turn it on always and do all my things with my other gig platforms if I'm in a multi-app, and get them all set up, start my day, and then it would be running throughout the day. But at night, I'd probably,
yeah,
especially
yeah,
like once I'm going to bed, because I'm not going to get up at 2 a.m. to accept an order or something,
yeah.
like, and
Please
that's
don't.
just, yeah. Well, I
Please
mean,
don't.
sometimes, I mean, like, if a good order comes through and I was up, I'd take it. So, I mean,
Yeah, it's
you
like I
do,
can't sleep.
there is a point to having it on all the time. Um, but yeah, so one thing I saw on the app before I knew I could start driving. So now it was like last Friday, I think I saw two orders that said the amounts, and one of them was like $46 and one of them was like 58, and they were both like 5 miles or 6 miles. So obviously to me, that looks like a lot of money for a very short drive work. What is that? I know you can't comment on these two specific, but what does that timeline usually look like?
Uh,
Because
the
obviously
timeline.
you're having to go to the store, you're having to get to this place that is
Mhm.
5 miles, because that 5 miles isn't a calculated everything, is it? Like going to
That's
the store to the site.
that's from pickup to drop off. So
Okay, so wherever you're getting the materials to the
yeah,
drop
so
off is going to be that distance.
right, because we couldn't calculate like where every single where all the drivers are being pinned or pinged, where
Uh-huh.
they're 6 miles, and that'd be a pretty complicated build from where they're at. But so what we do is just to simplify it, like pick up to drop off, and then that's the mileage that we show the driver. I would of course like to have it more sophisticated where it shows exactly where each individual driver is, but that's just not in our wheelhouse at this point.
Right.
But
Well,
we'd like it
yeah.
to be.
I mean, on some point you need to know where they are because of the GPS. I guess not till the
Oh
orders
no, we
picked up
do. I'm
something.
just saying in the notifications we don't
Oh,
we
right,
don't
right,
take
right.
exactly where they are and how many miles they are from the pickup location, and then add it to the delivery information that we have when those notifications are sent out.
Right. Because then the other thing that I did want to ask you is when I clicked them, I was able to click them because they were showing in the, I think it's deliveries. I can't remember if it's deliveries that shows how many you've done. Oh, requests, maybe it was requests, right? Is that the other option? Okay. So in
Yeah.
the requests they were, and I looked at both of them and it said any car. And then when I got in there, it said truck. And I was wondering if that meant like SUV too. I was wondering where that part falls. Like,
like, is it SUV?
if that had been available, could I have picked that up?
Potentially. I like,
I mean, would it have
probably
stopped
varies.
me if it
It would've-
wasn't doable?
Yes, it would have stopped you if it wasn't doable. So if you pushed accept and then like it could have been a situation where they didn't quite know exactly what the payload is right when the notification was sent out, but knew something was coming. And then probably was updating it right afterwards. So
I didn't know if like maybe truck was like a somewhat classification for SUV too. Is just, I know that, I mean, like sometimes people need a truck, but I didn't know if like maybe you didn't have an actual SUV and it just said truck.
potentially, yeah,
Yeah.
that was happening. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to be grabbing all the orders I can. I got a couple other guys too, and we're going to try and.
Well, I can't wait for the feedback.
Well, and you know, maybe you're the person to ask because I asked Alice too, and she said she'd looked into this, but I asked her if there was any chance of getting a few CURRi drivers who've been doing it for a while to come on the
Yeah.
podcast at once,
Awesome.
like 3 or 4 of them of your like your really drivers that are loving it.
I'll do it.
Who can tell us the ups and downs and you know what they've encountered, what happened in the beginning, because that's a good story for people to hear.
Okay. All right, man. You're in my notebook. I'll make it happen. I'll make it happen for you.
So yeah, so no, I mean, I guess another thing that we really should cover is the pay rate, how that breaks down. So like when I was asking about that, like how long a $58 order might take, and you're probably thinking, I have no idea because I don't know where you are to this place and then the miles in Denver to the drop off from the place. But like a $58 type thing, like, is there any way for you to calculate that just on the numbers on
like averages? So you said that one was about 5 miles that came up as that price?
Yeah.
I mean, sort of like when you're trying to motivate a driver in an area that doesn't, like, we just need it, get it done. Little bit extra price in there to like incentivize.
Okay.
But it typically does not take that long. Like you show up, you get loaded up and then away you go, you know. So drive time there, load, like, and if it's a car SUV, that's going to be very quick. If it's like you're on a stake bed truck and then getting loaded up, that's going to take some more time, you know. That could take 20-30 minutes. But when you're in a car, SUV, pickup truck, it's much quicker. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah, as I'm saying, we would pay a lot more for, and it makes sense. Like, and the customers are willing to pay that. You know, if they got like a work crew on there, like they got 5 to 6 people at prevailing wage, $90 an hour. So heck yeah, we'll pay $40-$50 to get that thing, like, it's, you know, sent right now because we don't want to stop our workflow.
Right.
Yep.
So you're in San Francisco. I know a company that started up around the pandemic too called Launder. They don't launder money. They're a laundry company.
Oh, thank God. Okay. All right.
But they have these bag sizes and they pick them up and then they, you know, you take them home, you wash them, you bring them back and the person makes X amount. They were really targeting the West Coast and they're in Boise, Idaho. Like they were, even though they were going to go nationwide, they're targeting the West Coast. Is that kind of what you're doing to start out here or not at all?
No, so we're in Southern California. We're close. We're in we're greater Los Angeles area, like Ventura County. So one thing that we are doing is we're not saying no to growth or no to areas that book us. Like, I mean, there'd be no reason to do that because we do have access to a nationwide fleet of cars and vehicles and trucks. But we do have targeted areas that we focus from, like, a sales and marketing perspective. And those make sense because we know that there's certain areas that are extremely robust with construction activity. And so it makes sense to really throw more sales efforts towards those geographies. but we're not just focused on a single. That's sort of what I was saying with like the, when Uber and Lyft would launch on the, trying to build up the demand side and the supply side before they would launch for their customers, the paying customers.
Sure.
We're able to do that much quicker because all these places are in a single area. We have like report cards for each of those areas, and we know that we only need a certain level to first launch an area, and it's typically much less than you would need for models for like food with low margins.
Oh, sure.
And transporting people. It's like it's much quicker. We know we can motivate the drivers much faster, and aggregate our fleet and all those geographies that are building in tandem with the demand. So, but typically, like there's so much demand, we like are just trying to meet it all. So, I mean, that's why we've been growing so fast.
I liked your term about NFL cities. I know, I
Mm.
mean, I've never heard somebody use that term before, but I guess, so you're saying that basically I'm now basing that meaning size. I'm now relating it to size of the city. Like if you have an NFL team, you're an NFL city, you're a big city.
Yeah.
Okay. So in all the NFL cities, you're kind of doing good, even on the East Coast, and even maybe
Yes.
in the middle ground here. And
Yes.
so,
Yeah, we
yes.
got some hot spots though. I mean, California's big, Texas is huge, Florida, Pennsylvania, like they're just cranking.
So can you explain the difference between the hot shot runs and the routes?
Yeah. Hot shots just mean I need something now. It's going to go from one pickup to one drop off. Actually, we can do multi-stop hot shots as well. Maybe there's two drop offs for a single customer or different customers, or there's two pickups. Like maybe it's general contractor that needs something at electrical supplier, they need something from plumbing HVAC supplier. Aggregate them and straight to the drop off. Or maybe there's two drop offs. They have two projects going on. A routes. So our routes offering is typically a scheduled truck. They want it there. The supply store wants it there 5 days a week, every morning. And it'll go on like sort of we can call them round robins too. Some people call them bread runs. There's all kinds of like terminology that the industry uses, but it just goes from one pickup, maybe like 7 drop offs.
Right. I mean, it's
10.
So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a route. You have a day's route.
Yeah. Yep.
So do those people stay busy enough where they're, I mean, almost, and I'm not going to cross this line because I prefer IC. I love these companies coming out that allow us to be ICs, but does that turn into kind of closer to the employee model? Not that it is the employee model. I'm just saying, does it get a little closer, like where they're pretty busy, like you've got them?
Where they're working, like I think Uber and Lyft, they call them like power users or power drivers. I forget what.
Yeah,
but you would know the terminology better than
master dashers. Yeah, things like
So yeah, we do have that category of driver who like, they're putting in some hours.
They can, I mean, I guess what I'm really wondering, can they count on a certain amount of hours once they try it a few weeks? Can they then count on that?
Yeah, and typically a lot of people who will do the routes will just be doing that, and maybe it's 4 hours a day, maybe it's 6 hours a day. Some will get up to 8.
Right, which again becomes an awesome part about the independent contractor status. So you can do that, but maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, let's say they have off and they pick up a route. It's 4 hours a day. They can count on that route a month later. I mean, I know you can't predict the world.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so they can count on that. They can count on that route as long as like our customer wants that. Like so the thing is, like they may want that route for a month, they may want it for 3 weeks, they may want it for just a week, they may want it for 3 months. It all depends on what the customer like wants. It's just like I'm not going to order on whatever food app on every single day of the week, even though I may do that for a week during a season.
Sure.
So yeah, ultimately depends on like what the demand is for that particular route at that location. Some of them are long-term, some of them are shorter.
So just to get it straight for my listeners, there is no reason at all that somebody with a car, SUV, especially those of you out there with the bigger trucks and things like that, obviously, but no reason to not sign up anyway.
No, there's no reason whatsoever not to. Absolutely
right, because the sign up process, in my opinion, was super easy. I mean, it took 2 minutes. to 3 minutes maybe for me.
Yep.
And then I was just waiting, and then
Yeah.
now I'm good. And
Yeah, and like you said, it can augment, like it can augment other, platforms that you're driving for. Like, you're the early morning person, you're definitely going to get some more notifications for morning deliveries if you want. And then of course, we're busy all day to be square, but like we do get those surges in those times of day, so there's more
so
demand.
I can't remember if this relates to food or not, but as a rideshare driver, it used to be you need to get commercial insurance. And now most companies have come out with rideshare insurance, which is kind of between the pricing of commercial and what you used to pay, so that you're
Mhm.
somewhere in the middle, but you have the right insurance. Even when you're driving food, you don't need the full rideshare insurance, but you're supposed to carry a little more.
Yeah,
Does that apply to you guys? Because
yeah, I
I don't.
think for any platform, there's always more, like you have to have a, depending on who your carrier is, some
Mhm.
depends which insurance company the driver has. Sometimes I've heard of like little clauses like you need extra coverage if you're doing any type of gig work. I think they've
Right,
phrased
right.
it
But
as.
you guys fall under that lower end of the umbrella of what you need, like almost like
Yeah,
food, because you're not
because
transporting people.
exactly, we're not transporting people, which really helps us as a company as well, because
Hmm.
the I know if you're driving someone versus something, it's a lot more liability.
Yeah, a lot more. And actually, that the insurance
Yeah.
even for rideshare has gone way down. I always try and make it clear to my listeners that you need this insurance. Like,
Yep.
don't skimp on it, because we've had legal rideshare on here. Bryant's a friend of mine over there in
Oh,
Chicago.
rad. Yeah.
And
Cool.
like those guys are really cool. I've referred a ton of people to them because they just do good things and they're good
Yep.
people. But like, no, I mean, honestly, he has told me that like 90% of the people that come into him, not for the deactivation type stuff, but like for like an accident or whatever, that call him,
Mhm.
don't have commercial insurance. And he's just like, you screwed. I mean,
Right.
like, or I mean, he tries and helps them, but I mean, like, it's Uber only covers you on phase 3, not phase 1 and 2. And then even phase 3, they have to work with your insurance. So if they can't, there's an issue there that your insurance carrier can say, well, you never told us you were doing that. And they can say they're not going to help. And then Uber has an out through the TOS to say, well, then we're not helping either, and leaving you with a multi-million-dollar claim on you.
How I would love to put some resources towards that, for like a so if you can share me some links, I would
Mhm.
love to like make that happen, or like share it with some drivers, share it with them, like as like a I don't know, as an email, just make sure they have all those, so that I'd love
I,
to help.
I mean, one thing I can send you for sure is I can send you the episode I did with Bryant back a while
Mhm.
ago, because he talks about the 3 phases, and it's for rideshare, but it might help your
Yep.
people anyway, because it explains how
Because they're
you're
not just
not
driving
covered
for
here.
us.
Right.
So I would love to be able to get that out to people.
Right. Because I'm almost sure that a huge portion of your people, especially the people not just doing trucks and just these deliveries, maybe, are multi-apping.
Yeah.
They're
And-
working
and-
delivery, they're working rideshare, they're doing runs for you, they're
yep.
whatever. So
And
you
which
definitely you need to break that apart. You need to make it known that, hey, you're not working for CURRi right now.
Yeah, it also be good, just that, like, say they're just driving for like Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, whatever, one of those, and then us, but like the other
Right.
company's not letting them know. But like I want to be able to be a resource for them. So
Right. Because
I
I mean, you got to remember that everybody always asks me, I've been doing this a long time, and everybody always asks me, well, how come I need that? Because Uber should have told me that. Uber can't tell you that, because then they start to say that you're an employee. And that becomes a fight in court that they can use, that, that if Uber gives you training videos,
Mhm.
you're an employee. Because if you're a true independent contractor, Uber's not supposed to have any say in what tools you use, how you get the job done, nothing. They can suggest, here's the path we think you should take to the airport. But you can even break off those. I mean, you can do things
Right.
you want if you know how to avoid traffic and do your own thing. You are your own boss. And a lot of people don't get that. They're like, if I needed that insurance, I'm sure Uber would have told me. And that's what I hear from newbies all the time.
Mm,
And I'm always like, listen, they can't tell you things. I'm telling you, get the insurance, call your insurance agent and ask them what would happen if you were doing rideshare and you got into an accident today. Call them right now and ask them, or call a different one. If you just don't
yeah.
want to call yours, and ask, hey, if I had insurance with you, just normal, and I got into an
Hmm.
accident, what would happen? And wait, when you hear that story, you will then pay for the commercial insurance right then.
Yep.
Because there's no way you're going to, because that could be the rest of your life. And we've heard of
Mm,
Uber drivers getting sued for 2 million, none of the insurance backing them, not Uber or theirs. And now, I mean, $2 million to a gig worker, that's probably a lifetime's worth of work.
yeah. That's insane.
I mean, that's just,
That's devastating.
yeah. And so for that little bit of money, I think that, yeah, I mean, I'll share it with you and you can share it with your drivers, or,
Cool. Thanks.
but yeah, I mean, I'll get some resources from Bryant too, because he has some good stuff up on legal
Cool.
rideshare too.
Great.
Um,
Thank you.
but yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I would want to know, because I mean, to me, this I keep saying this to people, that like this is awesome, because if I start off my day, I'm going to start off my day super happy if the night before I can pick up a load
Yep.
at like 7 a.m. and I know my day is starting with a $48 delivery. Boom.
Yep.
I mean, that's a really,
Did you accept that one, by the way, that you got?
no,
Or
I tried to accept both, but but when I got it, they were still in the queue, but they were both taken. And it said, do you want to be on a wait list or something?
oh, okay. All right. So someone else grabbed it. All right.
Yeah. So I didn't actually go for the wait list. Next time I
Okay.
probably will, because I'm guessing that they just get taken real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why, then there you go. That's why you always want this on, because
Yep. Yeah, because
you need the notification, because you need to grab it if you want it.
yeah, they pay well, and then like, okay, well, we
But
got someone
honestly,
who wants
like
one.
when, if like I've been driving for almost 7 years rideshare. I haven't drove since the pandemic.
Hmm.
Some delivery, but not a passenger.
Got it.
It just, the pay model needs to change a little bit. I think it's gonna here when PUA ends, because right now they have too many riders, not enough drivers, and that's something that will break their model.
Okay.
I mean, as you were saying, how they would stock cities with drivers before they really kind of populated the riders. That you need
Hmm.
to do that. Otherwise, if people are like summoning drivers and not getting them, they're not going to use the app.
Right.
So, but I think they're facing that problem right now, and their solution is to charge 250%, and there's super long wait times. And because it's happening with both Uber and Lyft, it's just, people are annoyed, but it's kind of acceptable. And it's just weird.
Right, because the basically there's no other option. Like, this is the price, and we're like, the main players are doing it, so this is the price, right?
Right. But one of the craziest things for me, I have a son, and so like I have to juggle my schedule around him all the time. So um if I'm going to drive in the morning and I say I'm going to do rideshare, and I'm going to do it from 7 to 7, let's say, or
Mhm.
7 to 6, or 6 to 6, and then I see a CURRi delivery come up at 6:30 a.m. for $50. Not only is that awesome, and I want to make that $50, but I don't, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but in a gig worker's mind, that is such an awesome start to your day, because that puts a smile on your face the rest of the day, because you just knocked out $50, which could take you a couple hours, or
Hmm.
2 to 3 hours in the morning, who knows.
Yep.
And now you just knocked out that, you're already at $50, and now you're like, okay, now I can go out and work. And you know even
Right.
with the
It
one delivery.
gives you some like more of a cushion, right? When you're
Yeah.
waiting for the other ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's cool, because the two I saw anyway were both like a half hour apart. It was like 6:30 and 7 a.m. So I mean,
Awesome.
it's
Well,
kind of like when a lot of us start. I don't know, day gigs to me are awesome, because there aren't many.
yeah. Well, I can't wait till you do one, man. I'll make you.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna leave you
will.
my cell phone with this, so you can just call me direct.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. As soon as yeah, I would love that. So um well, I think we covered about everything I wanted to cover for now. I really do want to get your drivers on. And I would like to, I'm hoping my friend Ron does it too here in town. He does entrecourier.com, and he does all the food delivery and writes a lot of good stuff. And he's really good at analyzing this stuff like me. So I would like to like him to do it, me to do it, analyze it, have some of your drivers on, come up with some
Okay.
really great questions, and really just ask them, what they love about it,
Awesome.
what were some of the learning curve things, to that kind of stuff really helps the listener too, I think. to hear it
Okay.
from the drivers. It's great.
Well, you got it,
Um,
man. I'm gonna find some drivers for you, and you can chat with them and pick their brains and talk about their experiences.
all right. Well, Matt, I want to thank you for coming on. This was I'm telling people, and I think they're signing up. I think we're starting to see that they are signing up, but a lot of them hadn't even heard of you. And it's kind of weird because I'd been hearing about you for a while, but like a lot of them were like, what is it? I'm like, and I'm like, it's last mile delivery services because I mean, at first it sounds like food, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally, totally.
so
But
it's
with an eye, it's a play on the word courier.
right.
Yeah,
No, yeah, but so yeah, so they're all excited, and I'm just I'm excited too, man. I really am gonna like try and jump all over this in my market for whatever I can grab. But
cool.
I want to thank you for coming on. I think what you guys are doing is great. I'm glad I'm being a part of it, and uh I don't know, I'm excited to see where this grows to,
Well,
and
thank you.
what CURRi does, because it seems like you guys are already doing really good and expanding and growing, and
Yeah,
um
you're quite fast. I can share numbers with you next time, but yeah. And
um
thank you so much for having me. Actually, I mean, yeah, pleasure's all mine. I
yeah,
appreciate the
no problem.
um
And we'll put all
the
Matt's
audience listening.
all Matt's links, all the CURRi links, everything up in the show notes here so that you guys can take a look, and there's social links and whatnot, but their website has a lot of information too. Uh, but yeah, thanks Matt for coming on, and um, we'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Mhm.